Hey everybody, hope you're having an awesome day wherever you are. Sending you all a big hug wherever that might be. And I just wanted to say, I just had to share this. I'm in our lash studio right now because I just had a client tell me one of the best pieces of advice ever, and that is whatever you're going through right now, you're going to get the best of. Just let that settle in for a second because it's awesome. Whatever you're going through right now, you are going to get the best of. This has been a wild and wacky beginning of September. Oh gosh, we're almost halfway through it. Time is just blurring right now, but I think a lot of us have been all of a sudden, so many things have been whipped up during this whole year, but I think right now, a lot of people are being confronted with fear. That seems to be the theme that I'm noticing. I myself had a couple of scares dealing with some people who are very dear to me. Everyone's safe, everything's good for the moment, and everything is really, we're all so blessed. Everything is good. Had one of my close dear friends, she had a scare with her cat, so anyone out there, please send good vibes for Leo. He's stable in the hospital, I believe, but that was one of her fears is losing her pets, which are her loved ones. And I think we all have had pets and relatives and friends and loved ones that we've all been kind of confronted with fear surrounding them, if not throughout this whole pandemic. It's a very real and a very legitimate fear of losing our loved ones. And then, there's the other sorts of fear that we get, fear of poverty, fear of control, fear of being controlled, fear of losing control, fear of lack of freedom, lack of sovereignty, fear of not being able to control what the government mandates we do. And there's a lot of that. And I even had an ex contact me out of the blue this week. It was just incredibly, I don't know how the timing worked, but it couldn't have worked any more appropriately for this time right now. And he contacted me and asked me to leave him out of my YouTube videos because he wanted to remember our past relationship as a good one. And I really do believe that that was a call made out of fear, and that he did not want to be confronted with anything that he feared might, I don't know what he was afraid of, but it felt like a very fearful call. And I wish him well, and I hope that everything's okay. But it's interesting how fear gets louder as it's about to dissolve. I mean, if you think about it, the toddler who gets told no, or the bully who gets even angrier when they get stood up to, or even like those cartoon villains that as they're about to be caught by the hero or whatever, they all get louder. I mean, they all, like, that villain just goes, "You haven't seen the last of me," as they're shaking their fist, getting pulled away, and the getting shoved into the cop car or whatever. Fear does really get louder as it's about to go away. But first we have to face it, and first we have to go through it. And I think that my client had such a beautiful point of, if we get through to the other side of facing our fears, or even maybe not actively trying to face our fears, I certainly wish no accidental circumstances on anybody, but I think this is kind of what's coming up for a lot of people anyway, so I wanted to speak to it. When we get faced with our fears is probably more accurate right now. It's tough and it's scary, but just know that it's not real. In the present moment, fear does not exist. in the present moment. Fear is a very futuristic thing. And it's always about, I'm afraid of what will happen. I'm afraid if what can happen. I'm afraid, even in life or death situations, you're afraid that you're going to die, not, or that a loved one is going to die, not you're afraid that you're, in the very, very present moment. Fear doesn't exist. So fear right now, I think for a lot of people, is getting a lot louder. Some of us have even realized our own fears right now, especially surrounding election, especially surrounding, the more pandemic things, especially surrounding fires, hurricanes, all the insane things that are going on in this world. A lot of us are being confronted with our fears. And I just want to give you guys a little encouragement for your day and a little love, and just say that everything you're going through right now, you're going to get the best of. Once you come through on the other side of fear, you become fearless. And I think that's really what right now is trying to teach us, is just to show us what our fears are and make us come face to face with them so that we can realize, oh, I can live through this. How many of us have said, oh my gosh, I don't know what I would do if ... Well, when ... happens and you do live through it, gets a lot easier to deal with, doesn't it? My mom always explained horror movies this way. I hate scary movies. I hate being scared. So I'm coming from a very real place here, but my mom always explained like the old classic horror movies where once you saw the monster, the rest of the movie was good. Once you saw the Wolfman, you saw that he wasn't scary. It's only when you saw like that paw reaching out, or like when you saw that like hand reaching up from the Black Lagoon, and only then it was only about, through maybe up to half the movie that the monster was scary. And once you saw the whole thing, all of a sudden you stopped being scared. Because, oh, okay, it's a rubber fish-like looking thing that still looks kind of like a man, but not really, but, And then towards the end of the movie, what she also always explained to me was you always ended up feeling sorry for the monster at the end, too. And, maybe we can feel sorry for some of our fears. And maybe we can show some of our fears compassion. Maybe we can show ourselves some compassion. And just know that once we've been confronted with our fears, and if we're courageous enough to stand there and stay in the moment and walk through that fire, and I mean fire, because it's no fun. But if we're courageous enough to do that, I promise you, we're going to start looking around and realizing that our fears that we thought were so overwhelming and so powerful and so much bigger than us weren't. And that we are bigger than anything we could possibly be afraid of. So with that, I really hope that your week and your month are going as smoothly as possible. But if it's not, just know that whatever you're going through, you're going to get the best of. Bye, everybody.